Welcome back to the 5-part SAFER and SATIRE webinar. This final section, from interview to interventions, will provide strategies to complete the assessment summary and child outcome rating and develop functional participation-based IFSP and IEPs. We will look at how to use the information from a parent-caregiver interview to support the development of the IFSP and IEP. We will explore the pathway to incorporating the information from parent interviews along with the evaluation results and other authentic assessment information in order to form a complete picture of the child. During Part 5, you will have an opportunity to see how the information gleaned from the SAFER and SATIRE provide invaluable data to support the completion of the assessment summary commonly known as the PLOD, or the PLAF. You will also review the process for using the parent and caregiver priorities developed during the interview and how they are crafted as participation-based outcomes and goals to support intervention. How does this link to the assessment summary and cause rating? Formal evaluation results tell us if a child is eligible for services. Authentic assessment is the way the child is actively using the skills relevant to their family life. When we use a systematic approach, as described in this webinar, the end result is more accurate and consistent information for every child and family. The formula for writing participation-based goals ensure that the goals are both functional and meaningful. Functional because they address the child's participation during typical routines, and meaningful because they have been selected based on the family input. Ongoing assessment becomes a natural process. If the goals and outcomes developed are being addressed during our provision of services, then the conversation should naturally revolve around the child's participation and progress toward the outcomes and goals. The IFSP reviews periods of 6 months and annually, and the quarterly review of a child's IEP provides natural times to review progress related to participation. If new challenges are discussed, it should be natural for the provider to return to assessment mode and explore the activity using the foundation of the EISR. It seems logical to then assume that a family that is working on things that they have identified through an interview, things that are relevant to their family life, means that they will be more active participants to support their child's development. Using the SAFER and SATIRE with consistency and fidelity, and asking questions using the EISR, will provide detailed information that helps to support a child and family be successful in their home and community. These three components should not be thought of as separate and isolated ideas, but rather overlapping and transcending each other. The completion of the assessment summary is a team effort. Therefore, team meetings are essential to the process and must be an integral part of the practice. These meetings should have a regular time and place and adequate time to review all of the information gathered during the evaluation and assessment. This team discussion to synthesize the information should take place with all professional team members. Some might say that anyone that has seen the child, both formally and informally, should actively participate in this discussion. The service coordinator or case manager should bring all of the data available for discussion and be prepared to review with the team. The interview is suggested to be used as the starting point of the discussion because it is the authentic information that is the foundation of the assessment summary. The discussion can begin with the first routine explored with the family or caregiver. One person reads the information from the family discussion, while another person searches for it in age-anchoring tools. Once all aspects of the interview, evaluations, and informal tools are age-anchored and recorded on the cause rating prep tool, the team may have a discussion as to what they think the cause score will be. This decision, however, is not made until the information is reviewed with the parent. Teams should not get bogged down in disagreement as to what child outcome area the skills fits under. It is fine at this stage to record the information under more than one child outcome. The team must agree, though, on whether the skill is foundational, immediate foundational, or age expected. Once all of the information is reviewed, age-anchoring tools consulted, and skills have been determined to be foundational, immediate foundational, or age expected, the information is recorded in the Child Assessment Summary form. In the Maryland IFSP and IEP, you must also enter a Child Outcomes Rating. Therefore, the assessment organizing form shown here is an important tool to use. During the IFSP or IEP meeting, the family discussion includes a review of the information under each child outcome. During Part 2 of the webinar, the SAFER, we heard about Bryn during mealtime. The family might be told, "We are going to see how Bryn is doing as compared with her peers." As the discussion evolves, the team might say something like, "During the SAFER discussion, you shared that Bryn loves to eat a variety of foods. You told us that she sometimes uses a fork, which is typical for a child her age." If there is any further discussion, Supporting documentation is used, including the assessment organizing tool, age anchoring tools, and the decision-making tree. The rating is agreed upon with the parents. This is all then recorded on the IFSP present level of functional development section, or in the IEP in the present level of academic and functional performance section. The assessment summary should paint a picture of the child's capabilities, strengths, and needs, which helps create functional outcomes and goals for the IFSP and IEP. Once there is an accurate assessment summary, the focus shifts to developing outcomes and goals. The family caregiver interview and the classroom teacher interview provide you with a list of priorities and concerns around the activities of the child and family. This list of priorities serves as the starting point for developing the outcomes and goals. Included on that list should be the specific times of day that the family wants to address the priorities. The recap portion of the SAFER and SATIRE asks the interviewer to develop a list of priorities, to identify the specific skills and behaviors the family wants to focus on, and to clarify the time or times of day the family wants to work on those skills and behaviors. That should all be recorded on the final priority list. That information is critical to the development of participation-based outcomes and goals. Once you have that list, consider this 7-step process for developing participation-based outcomes. The 4 steps of the process on this slide reflects the development of the IFSP outcome statements to ensure that the core portion of the statement is written functionally and is participation-based. These steps were adapted from a 7-step process that includes criteria, procedures, and timelines developed by Robin McWilliam. Let's walk through the example we've developed using the first 4 steps of the sequence. Remember Bryn from the SAFER discussion? Based on the parent's priorities, determine the functional area that the outcome relates to. In our example, we selected eating. Second, determine the routines affected. We selected mealtime with the family. Third, develop a statement that reflects how the child will participate in the routines, such as, Bryn will eat with her family at mealtime. Finally, add the initial part of the outcome statement developed in step 3, what the child will do. Eating the foods the family eats using a spoon. So the complete outcome statement that we developed using this framework is, Bryn will eat with her family at mealtime, eating the foods they eat while using a spoon. The recap portion of the SATIRE asks the interviewer to develop a list of priorities, to identify the specific skills and behaviors the teacher and family want to focus on, and to clarify the time or times of day the teacher and family want to work on the specific skills. That should all be recorded on the final priority list. That information is critical to the development of participation-based IEP goals. Once you have that list, consider this 7-step process for developing participation-based IEP goals. These 4 steps will help us turn Henderson's family's concern and his teacher's observations into a high-quality, functional IEP goal. In thinking about Henderson during the SATIRE interview, his family was concerned about how he runs across the parking lot, and his preschool teacher mentioned a similar comment about how he isn't always with the group during outdoor activities. Step 1 has us determine the academic and functional areas based on the identified needs. Following directions could be one way of describing the family's concern for Henderson's safety. Step 2 has us look at what routines or activities this affects. It's obvious in the information. Outdoor activities are affected. Step 3 has us provide a positive statement of how the child will participate in routine activities. Henderson will stop, wait, and stay with others during outdoor activities. And finally, step 4 adds the language about how the specific behavior will occur. By adding ing to the statement, Henderson will stop, wait, and stay with others during outdoor activities by following directions for his safety. Let's consider this model for mastery of a skill, as we are writing our criteria, the last 3 steps of the 7-step process. McWilliam asks us to first define what it will look like to acquire the skill. We are then asked to consider what fluency of the skills is, as well as consider generalization. And finally, we look at what maintenance means before we can say that we have met the outcome or goal. For Bryn, we might add criteria that looks like this, incorporating acquisition, when she uses a spoon to put 10 bites into her mouth. Fluency, during 2 or 3 meals daily. Generalization, at home and at a restaurant, and maintenance, over a 2-month period. For Henderson, we might add criteria that looks like this, incorporating acquisition, when he stops and waits. Fluency, during 3 of the 5 times of day he plays, generalization, at the park and at school, and maintenance, over a 6-week period. Bryn's outcome would read something like this. Bryn will participate in family mealtime by eating the foods the family eats and using a spoon to put 10 bites into her mouth during 2 of 3 meals daily, 5 of 7 days per week, at home and in a restaurant over a 2-month period. Henderson's IEP goal might read like this. Henderson will stop, wait, and stay with others during outdoor activities by following directions for his safety during 3 of 5 outdoor times at school or in the park over a 6-week period. The definition of family engagement can vary depending on whom you ask in early education, but engagement is about seeing families as an integral part of their child's development and education and treating them as partners and experts in their child's learning and well-being. If we are setting the stage for having the family determine the agenda for the visit and the strategy, as well as what they will do with the child or for themselves, then we are developing a partnership that promotes engagement and participation. This is the same approach to be used with community partners. It has been suggested that the SAFIRE and SATIRE be completed at regular intervals, and at a minimum annually. Consider this. Assessment is required to be ongoing in Part C and Part B. As we are working with families and caregivers, we need to delve deeper into the routines at every visit and determine how the parents perceive the child's use of their skills during family-selected routines. We need to be listening at every visit in the home and the community for what is happening and where there is need for change. Reflect on how ongoing child and family assessment is happening in your practice. How are you currently monitoring child and family IFSP and IEP progress? How can the use of the SAFIRE and SATIRE as an ongoing measure of progress monitoring strengthen your interventions? Thank you for your time and attention to the webinar. We hope you found the information related to parent and caregiver interviews useful and helpful. Our commitment to these practices are at the foundation of the belief that the family is the center of every child. It is our role as providers to support what the family wants and needs. If you have any questions about the SAFIRE and SATIRE as an evidence-based practice to support the authentic assessment process, please feel free to contact M. Hendrick6, MHENDRICK6, @jhu.edu.